So I want to take this opportunity just to thank CRDCN for organizing this webinar. And today, I'd like to talk about the upcoming release, Business Employee Analytic Microdata File, or the BEAM. So the talk today will, I'll just introduce, the data set and the background for us to creating the data set, and how do we create the BEAM, and what information including the BEAM, and in the end, how can you access the data. So let me just give you a bit of background behind we creating the database. Over the past few years, there's increasing need to access data from different domain, right, in order to provide a research insight that can inform how Canadians affect and are affected by the broad economic and social trend. And so far, this type of requests are accommodated by custom extraction from the seed environment, right? Canadian Employer-Employee Dynamics Database. I mean, if some of you maybe already use the seed extraction, and you know that initially this extraction are only available in the CEDAR at StatsCan head office, Canadian Center for Data Development and Economic Research. And later on, after pandemic, and then it was made available in RDC in 2021 to modernize the data access. But this problem with this, the custom extraction from the seed to accommodate all these requests, is that this extraction has caused a bit of a problem. So first, one is that, it's caused duplication and inefficiency, because many of the same variables are requested and extracted repeatedly. Okay. And it also caused the inequitable access because every time the researchers are charged for extraction. Right? So that's why we created this BEAM dataset. And so what is the BEAM? BEAM is basically a single and standard extraction from the seed environment with a select variable. We created BEAM for the research purpose only, and those variables selected in the BEAM are proven to be analytically useful. Right? Most of them are coming from based on what's normally requested from researcher in the past, and also or StatsCan own research. So what's the scope of the BEAM? Essentially, BEAM including all the individual that's filed T1. Okay, and all the paid employee who are issued T4, and all the T2 corporation that filed T2, and all the unincorporated business with a valid business number. Okay, that's the scope. So we try to include all the population, whole population of the tax filer, and we believe that the whole population, it's necessary when you wanted to straighten down to more disaggregate data on the using either individual side or the business side. The current release was spanned from 2001 to 2019. Of course, all the observation in the file has been de-identified, which means the personal identifier and the business identifier has been replaced with synthetic ID. Okay. So, what kind of public benefits the BEAM can provide? First thing, I think, it's because of standard extraction, right? So it will improve StatsCan to serve Canadian more efficiently. So we don't have to, on our side, we don't have to extract each time for the request, and which can, give us more resource to serve Canadian on the different domain. And also we put it into the RDC, and we, improve the data access for much wider research community. So in that sense, my understanding that there will be no charge for data extraction, right? Because it's one standard extraction, and there's no charge for data access for university-affiliated researcher. I think this is really good for the young researcher and students who might be financially constrained in the past. Otherwise they can't afford to access the data. Now I basically think it's free for the for university affiliated researcher. It's just because the rich information included in the data set, right? It's contained the demographic information of the individual and the business as well. That really can allow for more research using disaggregate data. And of course, it can support research on various topics, and which can in turn help better understand the Canadian labor market and economy. So what exactly we extract the data from to create the BIM? Here's the list of the data, the source data. We create the BIM. So on the individual side, we're using the the T1 personnel master file, and we're using T4 individual statement for the remuneration, and we also use the record employment, which just detail the information on the job separation from employer. We also use the longitudinal immigration database, where it gives us rich information on the immigrant category, education level, and source country when they come in. On the business side, we're using one is the national account longitudinal microfile. This file is NALF. It's also derived using a set of other admin data in StatCan, which including T2, business register, the payroll deduction, the remittance, and then there's also import-export data. We're also using the T1 business declaration that gave us information on the unincorporated business, right? So now the first data set gave us information on the incorporated business, and the T1 business declaration gave us the information on unincorporated business. And we also supplement this two data set with diversity and the scale database, which is derived from the city environment that provide profile the business ownership and the workforce composition within the business. For example, whether the business owned by immigrants or owned by the women, or owned by young people, and also the share of the immigrant employee, female employee, and 20 to 25 years old employee within the firm, etc. So this chart, basically show the linkage environment for the BIM. So how this is show you how we created the BIM, and also how you can use this the flow chart to link in the database as you need it, right? So there's three colors. On the left, it's orange colored. That's business level data. It's include incorporated business and also the unincorporated business. Each business has a unique identifier, ID. And then on the right side, that's blue shaded. That's the individual file, where we have each individual file tags T1 PMF, and also linked with immigration database. So on the individual side, there's unique individual identifier, case num. In the middle, the green area, that is the T4 and the record employment file, which is at job level. So, which means it have two identifier. One is business identifier, and another one's individual identifier. So that serves a key or bridge when you wanted to connect the business from the left to the individual from the right, right? So that's how you link the data set when you when you conduct research, and that's how we design the data set. It's similar to the seed environment. So in the end, this is a set of analytical file available in the RDC. So it's separated by business level, individual level, and job level. So from the business level, you have two sets of files: incorporated business and unincorporated business. Each one is marked by the different year. So for incorporated business, you have access from all the year from 2001 to 2019. And for unincorporated business, it's only first year only started from 2005. On the individual side, you have a T1 personal master file starting from 2001. And then for the immigration database, we have 4 file. One is the PNRF, that's its permanent resident person level file. That's including all the landed immigrant after 1980. And then you have for the NRF2 file, that's for the non-permanent resident person and permit level file, also from 1980 to 2020. Because all these 3 files have the ID, which is not the the personal ID we're using from the text file, so we have a concordance file for the immigrant file. So between the IMDb ID and the case num in the text file. So using that concordance file, you can link the immigrant database to the T1 file and T4 file. Okay. At job level, we have the T4 RE file started from 2001, and where you have both the personal identifier and the business identifier. So what kind of variable, what information including the beam? So on the individual side, is first, of course, it's including on the demographic, such as age, gender, marital status, and also including various type of income, such as T4 earning, self-employed income, the income from investment, and the total income, etc. On the T4 RE file, we have the job separation. Right? So information on whether it's permanent layoff or temporary layoff from the job, and then what's the reason for the job separation, and the jobs for the particular job, the starting date and ending date. Now for the immigrants, so as I said before, we have the education at landing, the facial language ability, and the immigration category, and the source country for the immigrant. On the business side, we have basic characteristic of the industry and province for the business, and also we have a number of performance-related variables such as the payroll, the employment, total asset liability, revenue, profit, expense, investment, different type of investment, machine equipment, and also the building, and research R&D expenditure, import, export, and even like I think there's information on the top 5 country import, export, and the value associated for each firm. We also provide some variable on the derived analytical variable value added from the data set, which you can use to calculate the labor productivity at the firm. On the ownership and employee file, for each business, we have whether the business is owned by immigrant and women and owner of different age group, and we also have the similar information for the employee composition within the firm. I think the additional variable we have is by experience as well. So we calculate the previous experience, whether the employee working in the similar industry before for the business, or before for the whether they has working at the previous business which has a similar industry at the current business. So we call that experience. So as you can see, as you can see, there's lots of information covered in the data set, and I believe that it does provide a lot of opportunity for research in a very different topic. Here are just a few examples. Some of the potential research can be answered using the data set and with some emphasis on the interaction between the worker and the firms. For example, you can look at the income inequality and dynamics over time, and you can look at the, how this pattern different across different subgroup, right, such as women, immigrants, how the the income inequality relate to the workplace, right, the between firm and the within firm difference. You can look at the aging population, aging working force. What kind of business, which industry business that's more vulnerable to the aging population, how its impact on the firm, right? How the firm try to cope with this aging working force. Are they adopting more technology or adopting automation, etc.? You can look at the immigrant side, right? How the immigrant earning and employment evolve after they arrive in Canada. You can look at the diversity, how diversity relate to the firm performance, right? Diversity you can define as either the business ownership or the employee. Either diversity driving more innovation or not. And also you can study on the employee from or business owned by underrepresented group, whether the women-owned business or immigrant-owned business are more productive or more profitable than the business owned by Canadian-born population or not. You can also look at the how the firm productivity growth and how the divergence cross firm in terms of productivity growth and how that's related to the R&D and globalization. So the BIM, I think it's in the process of releasing either this week or next week. It should be, the RDC should be sending out the notes for researcher. The current release will cover from 2001 to 2019, and we have provided the user guide on the some of the things I already talked about, and also on some of the useful tips on different file, and we also provide data dictionary for each variable. For future release, it will be annual, and then because it's based on the seed, right? So we will coordinate the release with updated seed. We try to do that at the same time or similar time period. And this is the first time the release, and we know it's both a learning process for us and also for you research as well. Given I think given some time for you and for us, and we want to hear some feedback from you and suggestion. So next time we, based on the demand and the feedback, we can add some new data or new variable. And we hope the BIM can accommodate most of the research needs, but of course, there will be some more complex project that's the BIM may be not sufficient. So in those cases, we still expect some custom extraction for more complex project, and will still be there will be still fee for those projects. Okay. So how you can access? So I think it's standard application process through the MAEE portal, and one of the most important component in your application is the research proposal. I think in the proposal you need to your question has to be well defined, and then especially why do you think the BIM can help you to answer those questions, and although the BIM contain the different component, either the individual and the business component, but we will make it the component at different product, it's not all the project will access all the data, right? So only some of the project will require using all different component file. Only for those projects we will give access to all the component file. But for example, for the project only need to look at the individual side, we will give you the access to the individual component only. We're not giving you the business side as well. Or we're not giving you the business side data. So the access will be on a need-to-know basis. And then it just basically follow the standard RDC approval process. Okay, so if you still have more questions, afterwards, you can contact local RDC, or you can email to us, the EAD Data Access Champion at this email address, so we can try to answer the question you have. I think that's all I have for today, and I'm looking forward to your question. Thank you.